Well, hi there, everybody. I'm Linda Talley, and I'm the Senior Vice President and Chief Nursing Officer here at Children's National. I am so pleased to introduce Pat McGuire, who's a dear friend and colleague, a steadfast neighbor, longtime neighbor here of Children's National Hospital, just down the road from us. Pat is also the president of Trinity Washington University. Children's National is currently hosting an exhibit of Pat's nature photography as part of our creative and therapeutic art services. Today, our gallery curator and art coordinator, Greg Scott, and I welcome Pat for a gallery talk about her photography, about her just amazing and inspirational work. Hi, Pat. I'd like to start by talking about Trinity Washington University. I know that you have over 3 decades of service. Can you tell us just a little bit more about what accomplishments make you the proudest?
I'm very proud of several things about Trinity. First of all, when the Sisters of Notre Dame founded Trinity back in 1897, they wanted to make sure that a great higher education was accessible to women who could not attend the men's universities of that day. We were excluded. Well, we still continue that mission of access to a great higher education today. And today, the women who may not have access, and some good men in our graduate and professional programs, they might be students who are lower income students. They are predominantly African American and Latina women and some men. They are students who often have children and families themselves, even at very young ages. They have to work, and they need a lot of support and assistance to really do well in college. Today, we enroll more than 1,000 DC residents in all of our different programs. Our students, as you know, go on to be nurses at Children's, at the other hospitals in the region. They also go on to be teachers and nonprofit executives, and even members of Congress.
One of Trinity's top undergraduate majors, as you mentioned, includes nursing, and that makes for a really natural tie and partnership between Children's National and Trinity Washington University. Can you talk to us about the nursing program, but also equally important, the other ways that the two organizations have worked together in the past?
We were fortunate in about 2015, 2016, a wonderful donor came along and saw that we were doing great work with nursing and helped us to build what is now the Payden Academic Center with modern nursing laboratories, a modern simulation lab, new science laboratories, just fabulous. And that really helped to propel nursing forward. We were also, by the way, so very proud when you came to us at the start of the pandemic. I believe it was March 17, 2020. You called me up and said, Children's wants to do testing. We need a drive-through testing site early in the pandemic. And I immediately said, yes, we have parking lots. We can do this. And the rest is history. It was a great example of how a partnership could respond quickly to a need.
We're so proud to be displaying your work over here, especially now during Earth Day, and wondered if you could just tell us about the significance of Earth Day for you personally.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. I didn't used to do any photography or wildlife, anything, but in a high stress job such as I have, I learned early on that I had to get out and I had to develop an avocation, if you will. And I chose to go out into the woods and wilderness and forests and lakes. And I discovered the beautiful things of this earth. And in that discovery, I also discovered why climate change is harmful. I discovered why environmental justice, environmental sustainability is so important. And that's what Earth Day is all about, of course, preserving the great wild things of this earth, because they're all part of our ecosystem. Human life cannot exist if we don't save the eagles. You see my 2 eagles behind you. If we don't care for the lakes and rivers and forests and streams. And when I go out to some of the nearby wildlife refuges, as I have for the last 10 or 15 years, I can see how climate change is degrading the environment. The forests are dying. The sea levels are rising. There's great problems in the great marshes down on the Eastern Shore, for example. The Chesapeake Bay is always struggling to survive. And so I've learned about all of this through my excursions to do photography. And it has made me a bit of an environmentalist. And I'm so pleased that Children's is celebrating Earth Day this way. And I'm just tickled that I can contribute in some small way to that.
Pat, your photography evokes such feelings of peace and the degree of beauty, frankly, that is communicated through this work. It, again, is very inspiring and very therapeutic with our children and with their families.
It really is therapeutic for me because, first of all, to get out into the beautiful spaces of this region really has a calming effect, at least on me, and I think on most people. So I'll drive down to the Eastern Shore. There's a beautiful wildlife refuge called Blackwater down near Cambridge, and I can sit there and watch great white pelicans and great blue herons and eagles and all kinds, ducks galore. And when you're with the wildlife and looking at this natural scene that is so beautiful, you see that there is a symmetry to natural life that we humans need to understand and respect. To be calm in nature is a great gift, and it's replenishing. I come back from even 2 hours down there, and I sleep better, I feel better, and I'm better able to handle the thorny problems of the day at my desk. So that's why I do it.
Pat, I think you're awesome. I think your photography is just wonderful.
Thank you.
I can brag about you all day long. So, but I do have a few questions that I wanted to ask you. And the first one is, how did you get into photography?
Well, it's very interesting. I actually started doing sports at Trinity, sports photography, back in the days of film. And I have no training as a photographer, but I used to go to the games, and then I'd take a camera along and started taking pictures. And the students all loved their pictures. I started giving them their pictures. And, for a young person, they can't have enough pictures of themselves. So it was wonderful and a great deal of fun. And then I started, I had been going up to the Adirondacks, which is in upstate New York, for vacations because it's lovely up there and it's cool in the summer. So I went for the coolness, and I started taking pictures there, just kind of playing around with the camera. And what I discovered was, if you sit there and you watch for the wildlife, first of all, it's very calming. You forget everything else because you're really concentrating on, where is that eagle? Could I get that eagle to pose for me, or an osprey or a great blue heron, or am I going to see a bear today in the Adirondacks? There is a life source in the wildlife that we humans need to understand. There is a level of intelligence there. I don't want to sound crazy, but they know what they're doing. Their instincts are very strong. And if many of my photos, you'll notice the eyes, because that's where I'm focusing. And it is true, you get better as you practice. You begin to learn about light. I read a lot now about photography and how to improve. And I also spend a lot of time just saying, gosh, if I had put the camera on a different setting, I could have done this or that. But I really don't worry about being too rigid. There's some photographers, I see them at the refuges, they set up tripods and they have all of this stuff. I just have my camera and me and my arm, and I just take the picture. And I think it's a lot more fun because I don't worry about making a mistake.
What are you working on next?
Well, I think that probably I'll be preparing another every year. I don't bake cookies and I don't knit or crochet. I take pictures. So every year at Christmas, I make a little booklet of all my photos. So I'm focusing on the booklet for 2022. And I'm not quite sure what will be in it yet because it's only about a third of the way through the year, but I will be working on getting the booklet out soon. And some year when I have time, I hope to travel more down through Florida and even maybe into South America to get some different kinds of birds, because I think I've taken pictures of every bird that exists in the metropolitan Washington region. So that'll be someday.
Well, thank you, Pat, so much. And thanks so much for joining us today. You can view Pat's photos in our gallery at Children's National Hospital on our first level in the gallery. Thanks so much, Pat.
Thank you. And I'm so happy that it makes the children happy. That's the most important part of this. So thank you.